Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we've got a truly special presentation lined up for you. We're going to dive into an incredibly profound spiritual story, one that has literally shaped the hearts and minds of millions of people across centuries. We're talking about the Shree Ramcharitmanas, written by the great poet Saint Tulsidas. But we're not just going to recount the plot today. We want to look at the very soul of this epic. We're going to trace the journey of the ultimate devotional soul and really uncover what it means to walk the path of bhakti, or pure devotion. Okay, let's get right into it. When you picture Lord Rama seated with his wife, Sita, and his loyal brother Lakshman, there is usually one specific figure kneeling right beside them: Hanuman. In the context of the Ramcharitmanas, Hanuman represents the absolute peak of the devotional soul. He embodies complete surrender, deep humility, and this unwavering focus on the divine. Keep that image of pure devotion in the back of your mind, because it is essentially the blueprint for the entire spiritual journey we're about to unpack today. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with an introduction to the great epic, then tackle ego and humility, look at the exile as a lesson in duty and sacrifice, explore the devotional soul through Ram's devotees, and finally wrap up with the ultimate message of devotion. Let's start with part 1, Introduction to the Great Epic. Right off the bat, the preface of our source material makes something crystal clear. This text is not just a mythological story, it's really a comprehensive manual for living. It teaches the highest ideals of statecraft, perfect family life, profound wisdom, and the necessity of detachment. But above all of that, it teaches devotion. It was specifically designed to be universally useful, whether you're young or old, rich or poor, a householder or a total ascetic. You know, Tulsidas wrote this epic by the grace of Lord Rama and Lord Shiva. He directly experienced these divine plays and then translated them into a highly accessible, deeply emotional language. He basically took the highest, most complex spiritual truths out there and wrapped them up in an engaging narrative that literally anyone could grasp. It was a massive act of spiritual democratization. Moving right along to part 2, ego and humility. This core conflict is perfectly captured in the famous episode of The Broken Bow. You've got Parshuram, a powerful sage just blinded by rage and threatening violence over a broken sacred bow. In stark contrast to that, you have Lakshman smilingly retorting that they broke plenty of bows as kids, while Lord Rama just maintains this supreme, humble calmness. Rama actually says to Parshuram, "My name is small, but yours is great." It's just a masterclass in how serene humility can completely disarm a raging ego. And then on the flip side, we have the ultimate manifestation of ego, the demon king Ravana. Listen to this boast he makes to his wife Mandodari. He says, "I have conquered Varun, Kuber, Pawan, Yama, and Kala by the strength of my arms." Talk about delusion, right? He is so totally blinded by his own worldly power that he completely loses sight of the eternal divine reality. The text actually has a specific word for this condition, mudhata, which translates to foolishness or deep spiritual ignorance. When someone is consumed by mudhata, they can look right at the divine and only see a mortal. Because Ravana is so full of himself, he repeatedly mocks Lord Rama as just some ordinary human prince. He fails to recognize the creator of the universe standing right in front of him. Ego literally blinds the soul. Okay, part 3, exile, duty, and sacrifice. Picture this. It's the eve of Rama's coronation, and out of nowhere, he's told he is being banished to the forest for 14 years. How does he react? Well, the text uses this brilliant metaphor. It compares his mind to a newly captured elephant, and the royal kingdom to its iron chains. So, leaving for the forest, that wasn't a punishment for him. It was breaking free. He accepted the loss of an entire empire with the absolute joy of liberation. The contrast here is just wild. The minister Sumantra and the citizens of Ayodhya are absolutely paralyzed by worldly grief and attachment over Rama leaving. But stepping into the dangerous forest, Rama, Sita, and Lakshman display total serene acceptance and joy. Rama's detachment proves that a truly devotional soul is not bound by worldly gains or losses. Their peace comes entirely from fulfilling their divine duty. Which brings us to part 4, the devotional soul, Ram's devotees. First up, we have the incredibly moving story of Shabari. She is an elderly woman of low social standing who has literally spent her entire life waiting for the divine. When Lord Rama finally arrives at her humble ashram, she feels totally unworthy. But Rama stops her and says, "I only recognize the relationship of devotion." That is a revolutionary spiritual statement. It proves that pure devotion entirely transcends caste, wealth, gender, and social status. To the divine, it's only the purity of the heart that matters. Next, look at the journey of the Bhishan. This is Ravana's own brother, born into a lineage of demons. Yet he actively chooses the path of devotion. First, he tries to advise his brother to drop his ego and return Sita. When he faces brutal rejection and physical insults for it, he doesn't retaliate. Instead, he just leaves his wealth and status behind and surrenders completely at Lord Rama's feet. Rama accepts him immediately, proving once and for all that your background does not dictate your spiritual destination. And we definitely can't forget the fascinating teachings of Kakpushindi. In the text, Kakpushindi is this great, enlightened sage who just so happens to inhabit the body of a crow. It sounds really surprising, but it serves a profound purpose. The source is telling us that God loves the humblest, most pure-hearted devotee, completely regardless of their physical form or species. Even in the lowest physical form, a pure devotional soul can attain the absolute highest spiritual wisdom.
Finally, we arrive at part 5, the final message of devotion.
Tulsidas writes this incredibly profound truth. Enemies, friends, joy, and sorrow are illusions. They are not the ultimate reality. The text is teaching us that getting caught up in all our worldly conflicts and that endless roller coaster of temporary happiness and sadness, it just distracts us from the eternal truth. The divine is the only real constant. Everything else is just passing scenery on the journey of the soul. So, to summarize the core takeaways from our explainer today, here is the true path of the devotional soul. Number 1, surrender your worldly ego. Don't be a Ravana or a Parshram. Number 2, embrace your duty, your dharma, with joy, just as Rama accepted his exile. Number 3, recognize everyone through the lens of devotion, prioritizing the heart over status, exactly like Rama did with Shabri. And finally, seek absolute refuge in the divine. Just trust the process completely. I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. We live in this fast-paced, modern world that constantly rewards ego, endless ambition, and gathering material wealth. Yet, the timeless wisdom of this spiritual story, the Ramcharitmanas, tells us that the exact opposite is the key to true peace. So, how can you step back from all that noise today, let go of the chains of your own ego, and cultivate the deep humility and pure devotion of a true bhakt in your own life? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this sparked your curiosity and maybe even illuminated your path a bit. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I'll catch you next time.